Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again on the 25th of November 2022. I'm here with Supreme Leader and Psychic Medium Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
I don't know about Supreme Leader, but Psychic Medium, that I am. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Okay, this is in response to people on Discord who've asked us to have a look into Iran. And moreover, a couple of people involved in that. So let's start with this guy here, who's the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
I've got him.
Okay. So I'm reading questions basically from the Discord, and I'll format them if necessary, but I'll read straight off. So first question, will the protest be successful?
Will the protest be successful? No, they'll imprison protesters.
All right, well, that was the other one. So with the protests who have been arrested, will they be released or executed?
Okay. Be released or executed. Ooh, this is not good. Are you planning to release these prisoners? Some will be released. Many face execution. This is not good at all.
Right. Will there be any kind of complete regime government change or any kind of reform? Is that being planned?
No, it's the way it is. You know, they have to comply. Listen, I'll tell you what's coming through. So I don't know how many women have been arrested per se. I haven't really been following this. For this reason, I knew that we would end up doing this probe. But I feel like these women are being treated extremely badly in jail, okay? I feel like they've been beaten. I feel like they've been raped. They've had their hair pulled. They're pulling their hair out, okay? This is not good at all.
Okay.
And you know, the biggest problem is the government doesn't have to answer to anyone. So these women are really relying upon the world to step in and do something about the problem, which no one ever does.
Okay, but that's the same of every government everywhere. They don't answer to anybody, do they? So I don't know, because I have to give the UK credit where credit's due. The government will answer if there's enough scrutiny and enough of a petition. They will at least open up an inquiry. More so than any other government I've seen. I mean, I haven't lived all over the world, so I can't, say that with an, affirmity, but I don't know. The UK is pretty good. This is government inquiries normally equal whitewash in the UK. So I mean,
well, that's true too.
So yes, they'll have an inquiry, but the people who are doing the inquiry will be told what the result needs to be. So on the face of it, there looks like there's a democratic process, but there's not. So
I understand that too, but here, this is, women need to be compliant, women need to behave, and that is what is coming through very strongly. And,
right.
And what bothers me, I'm wondering if they're doing this all in vain, if it's just going to amount to nothing but a lot of people being killed and sort of reinforcing the fact that they shouldn't be protesting, they should be following the laws.
I don't know. It's
So
this is
what
not
does he
good.
think about these women that are protesting then?
What do you think about?
Do they have any legitimate right to protest? Moral right to protest?
What do you think protesting? They're vile, disgusting human beings, and they're going against, the religion. Do you believe that they have any right to protest? No, women have no rights.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's not good. I thought we could get something very positive out of this. I thought that maybe we would get, something where maybe been a persuasion of, maybe we need to look at the policies, maybe we need to change it. That's not happening.
Okay.
The only way that that's going to change is if you overhaul the entire system and you put the leaders in place with them who are much younger. Now, maybe 40, 50 years out, you're going to see a vast difference in attitudes, but certainly not right now.
Right. Well, that guy, the Ayatollah, he's about 82 years old. So, he won't be around. He won't be around in 40 or 50 years, will he? So.
Oh.
Okay, let's just park him for a minute and pick up on Ibrahim Raisi. Okay. Who apparently he's the supreme leader of Iran.
Okay.
So we're going to ask him the same question. Will the protest be successful?
Will the protest be successful? Absolutely not. And he's determined that they won't be.
What will happen to the protesters that have been arrested? Will they be released or executed? Or what will happen to them? Or jailed? Or what will happen to them?
That have been arrested. Are you going to let them go? No, he's going to teach them a lesson. He is going to execute some.
No.
He doesn't care if they're mothers. He doesn't care, about the children. He doesn't care about the husbands. He says the husbands should have kept them in line. The men in the family should have kept them in line. This is not good. I'm very disappointed by these answers, to be honest with you.
Does he not fear any form of backlash or civil unrest or uprising as a result of the actions of the Iranian government over this?
Do you not feel fear backlash? Yeah, there's a lot of backlash. Do you feel
Can it turn into civil unrest, civil war, civil problems, or
problems? We won't allow that to happen. They'll have the military step in.
Right.
I feel like the military has already stepped in. I'm disappointed. I know people aren't here for my opinions, but I just have to say I'm disappointed.
Okay.
Let's move him a year out.
Put him out a year, please.
Yeah.
December the 22nd, 2023.
December 22nd, 2023, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Okay. What happened to the protesters that were around in the end of November 2022?
They executed a lot of them.
What was the backlash when that happened? When did it happen? Sorry, when did it happen first? When?
They're going to be tried in court.
Okay.
What was the back, or what happened? When did it happen? I feel like March is very significant. I feel like a lot of them were deemed like disruptors, trying to organize a military coup. That's how they're going to try to sell this. And they're going to execute, right? They are. And it's all going to be kept quiet from the media. I feel like a lot of this is going to be controlled.
Okay, but out in the end of December 2023, have those executions taken place? whether in
Some of
secret or
them.
not. Some of them have, yeah.
Some were let go. Those that were apologetic and that were compliant and show that they were going to be compliant and they were saying everything that they want to hear are going to be the ones that are let go. The ones that are still continuing to be disruptive, as in, I will not comply with your rules, those are the ones that are going to be executed.
How many in total are executed or have been executed so far?
Executed so far. I don't feel like there's more than 1,000. More than 500. Maybe, a few hundred, but not, which is obviously one is too many. But yes, I feel like a few hundred at this point. Some are just being held there indefinitely, waiting to be executed. The ones that are compliant against, those are the ones that were sent away. They had a hefty fine. They had counseling measures. The males of the family had to have counseling to, how to keep them in line. This is not good.
What has been the reaction on the world stage that has been noted by him?
What has been the reaction? He doesn't care about that. He's
Okay.
like, I don't care what these people think. I run my country. They don't run my country.
Has there been any internal problems, sort of civil war, sort of violent disturbances in sympathy or anything like that over the last year?
Yes, there have been more protests, but they just round them up. But there have been civil disturbances. No. He's laughing because, like, how can women organize violent protests?
Yeah, but I was just wondering about what the male population thought about it.
Oh, let's ask, what does the male population think about this? God, this is so draconian. It's like, well, the next thing, so his idea is like, well, if you educate them to really high standards, if you're going to lose your jobs. The women will take over your jobs. They'll take over the income. They'll take over your earning potential. And then you'll have no place in this world. So there really is a lot of threat of, about what women can do.
Right.
That's how he sort of wins over the males. Are the men buying it? The younger generation are not buying all this, right? But they have a lot of respect for the older generations. Culturally, that's what's coming through. And so they're just appeasing it. But really, we're not going to see a massive shift until these generations die out. Now, the new generations of women coming up, the new generations of, children, the women are trying to really influence them. This is not what we have to do. They're trying to empower them. So it really is a case of you're going to have to wait for a massive generational shift.
Okay. Are they currently, or have there been any skirmishes with nations near them? Other nations?
In the past year? Not really, but they are closely linked to Russia.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I know people, they don't understand when you are, questioning, you really have to think on your feet a lot of times.
Well, you do, because the problem is with the answers that have been given, a lot of the questions are now mute. They're moot, rather, not mute, moot. They're pointless. There's no regime change. Nothing has happened. This is what's got to happen. I mean, it makes the rest of the questions that have been asked that, I mean, a lot of them were based on this whole regime was going to collapse and what's next. Well, obviously it hasn't collapsed. It's not going to collapse, and they're going to double down and treble down to make sure it doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think people understand that. I mean, obviously our group does, but this will be a public video. And I don't think people understand how difficult it is to be an interviewer, right? It's not easy. You have to be able to quickly pivot, quickly divert, quickly think on your feet. They couldn't handle it in their shoes. I select my interviewers very well.
Yeah, which we do very well, which us two, we do very well. But the point is, there are certain subjects, there are certain things that we come across that we would not expect. I mean, as you said in the very beginning of this, you're very disappointed. And because of the answers that have come to you. And the problem is now, because of that, it does make a lot of the rest of the stuff impossible to ask. What do you say when these people say we will execute these women? They have been executed.
It's terrible. It's
so
terrible.
What other questions can you ask? In their mind, they're doing what the law says. They make the law. They're the government. They use the military. They use force. So from that point of view, it's just that their force is much more draconian than other people's. But they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, and until these people are not around anymore, Iran will do what Iran does.
What is interesting is the fact that, now we're into the World Cup, and I love the World Cup. Now we're into the World Cup in Qatar. We did that probe, which was, we are going to accommodate them as best as possible, but their opinion and personal thoughts, feelings, perceptions of how they're accommodating Westerners or, the world to come to Qatar is very different to our opinion. So like today, the big news story is that the England fans, because they're playing USA, they're not allowed to wear their Crusader outfits because it's offensive to Muslims, right? Because the Crusader outfits, they have the cross of St. George on the front. That's something that's tradition to English football fans, and they're not allowed to wear them. They're being told they cannot wear that. You have the England fans were trying to get into the spirit, or not just the England fans, but loads of fans were trying to get into the spirit. So they were actually dressing with like their flags or whatever on their heads, covering their heads, like, Muslim or Arab style. And now that's offensive. They're not allowed to wear their One Love armbands. The German team covered their mouths. And because you're not allowed to speak about it, England fans are having to remove any reference to LGBT, or not just England fans, all the fans are having to remove any type of rainbow reference, any LGBT QI. Now there's an I at the end. It's just going to keep going and going and going. From any part of their clothing, or they're not admitted into the stadiums. Their perception of how they're accommodating us or the fan base or the world is very different to what our perception is. And that's what's so important about these mind probes.
This shows the massive difference in cultures between the West and the Middle East. I mean, we're talking about Iran, and the World Cup is being held in Qatar, which is a different nation. The nations, that they have different values, different thoughts, opinions, and different everything than us in the West. And we don't naturally form a match on a lot of subjects, do we?
No, we don't. And so I think to us, especially the group on Discord, where we put a lot of questions forward, And to us, protests are meaningful, protests are an opportunity for change. As we're, it's just a little shocking because protests here do, and a lot of times, sometimes they don't, but a lot of times it's a wake-up call, right, for change. And it's just not happening over there. And that's a shame to me because I think that, the women have a lot of potential. We know that they do, given the opportunity, and they're just going to keep stifling them. And it's a real shame, to be thought of as, and I'm not trying to insult anybody's culture or anything like that, but we're not just breeding machines, right? I mean, of course we can do that too, but it's just a shame. I just think it's a shame. I think it's a shame when religion really dictates a lot of rules, and that goes across the board for every religion. And yet doing a lot of probes, we know that you're not going to be punished by God if there's no hell on the other side. Like, we know that from doing all these probes. You're not going to be punished if you don't wear a particular thing, or if you don't have your head covered, or if you eat something. It's just not going to happen. And yes, I know a lot of things are done out of a sign of respect for higher power and source and all that. But as we know from doing these probes, there's lots of ways you can give respect. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you cover your head or eat, don't eat certain foods. Like I said, there's a lot of different laws. I mean, look, where I live, just up the road, probably 30, 40 miles, is this huge Amish community. And I mean, very traditional, no electricity, no cars, still horse and buggy. And, I look at the way they live their very simplistic lives. And they believe that, a lot of times if they break away, these people are sinners. And it's just so sad because they're not. We now know from doing the probes and speaking to Jesus and speaking to Source, it's just not, these are conscious mind human constructs that have been given to us that we're following to maintain order, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. And I'm not trying to be insulting, so please don't think that. I'm
very one just to change the mood slightly, but keep on sort of point. Drop those two, pick up on Iran, put them out to the end of January 2023.
Okay, January. The end of January, sorry.
Yeah, end of 30th, doesn't matter.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Did they win the World Cup?
Not going to answer that. That's so funny. That information is for subscribers only. I know. But hey, yesterday I did well. I got all 3 games that I predicted correct. I'm still running at a good, hit rate. And that's all you need. That's all you need.
I was trying to give a teaser in so that people would then, oh, look, Liz does this, so they'd sign up for you. Nearly got you.
Yeah. But, as long as you're running at a 60% hit rate or above, that's all that matters to the bookies, because the bookies are, of the mindset that we make money because you fail. And if you are beating the bookies by 60% or more, they're losing. And that's why I ended up getting dropped by 2 bookies. I mean, one, I told you, like, I had this Vegas mob, and it was it was so funny. But yeah, so my first prediction today is not on point. But my second prediction today will hopefully be right. Yesterday I got all three right. I am not predicting the England USA game. I'm too emotionally involved. I will be watching that. But yeah, but Iran, to be fair, the team, they went out and they refused to sing their national anthem. Because their first game, I saw their national anthem. I was like, oh, I guess they don't have words to their national anthem. And then it comes out, well, actually they do, but the team members refuse to sing it because they're so disgusted by the way that the government is treating the women and the protesters. But apparently today they sang. I haven't watched the match yet, but apparently today they actually did sing the national anthem. But they're surprising everyone.
And they beat Wales. I mean, after coming back from losing 6-2 to England, which is not a surprise, but they beat Wales today 2-0.
Yeah. Well, that's congratulations to them. So this World Cup has been full of surprises, and we'll see what there is to come of it. But they did sing their national anthem today. Anyway, I'm so sorry for all the women in Iran. I wish it was better news because, that reverberates to the rest of us in the world. And I'm just sad that this probe isn't more positive, but I have to report it as it is. Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare. If anybody does have follow-up questions, again, how do you interact with Mr. Shakespeare and the other interviewers? You go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond, and you connect your Discord profile to the Patreon, okay? Don't look for an invite link because I don't even know how to create those, right? I'm not tech savvy. I can communicate with the spirit world all day long, trying to send Zoom links and invite links, just not happening. But you connect your Discord profile to the Patreon, and there you go. The door is open, and you have all the interviewers at your fingertips. You've got everybody talking in there. We are a really nice community of people. We don't have that, hatefulness and all that arguing going on there. And if they do, I mute them. So thank you very much. And any further questions, drop a comment. Thank you.